In this project video, we are going to model this wooden toy train. I know the model seems very simple. The idea of this project is not to create a complex shape, but to practice vertex snapping when doing 3D modeling. Also, we are going to learn how to model from an image reference. So I really recommend you to do this project as there are a lot of things that you can learn from it. First, we only need the cube. So press Ctrl I, X, and then delete. Now because our reference image is facing to the right, we need to be in the left viewport when importing it as a background image, just for convenience, so we don't need to rotate it again afterward. Press Ctrl 3 to go to the left viewport, then Shift A, choose Image, and then Background. Pick the toy train image that I provided for this lesson. Click this button. Now we have the image loaded as an image object. When modeling, I actually prefer to use the right viewport than the left viewport. Why? Because later, when we use the mirror modifier, it is defaulted to mirror the positive X to the negative X. And also, pressing numpad 3 to access the right viewport is easier than pressing Ctrl numpad 3. Essentially, I want to model on this side. So to set this up, just press numpad 3 to go to the right viewport. We can see our image object is invisible from this side. We can easily fix this by going to the Image Data tab. And we can see that the side is now set to front. Change this to back. Now we can see it from the right viewport. Next, we want to make this box here to be aligned with the cube object. We can do this in several ways. While this image object is still selected, press G and move it here. Then, to change the size, we can use the size parameter here. Or you can also use the handles as we discussed in the earlier lesson. You can move it again if you need to. I think we have about the right size now. We can see the length here is almost the same. Now, we can start modeling the cabin window. Let's select the cube object, go to the edit mode, select this face and also the other face on the left side. We want to do inset now while looking at the reference, so press 3 again, and let's make the object transparent. To do that, we can press Alt-Z to activate the X-ray mode. Then press I and then move the mouse until we get roughly the same size with the hole in the reference image. Next, we want to bridge these two faces. So right-click, choose Bridge Faces, press Alt-Z again to turn off the X-ray mode. We can see we just created a tunnel. Now, we don't need this upper area as we are going to replace it with a cylinder. So hold Alt and then click on this edge. We just created a face loop selection. Then press X and then choose Faces here. Next, we want to pull this edge and then this edge down so they aligned with this edge. For this, we need vertex or edge snapping. We'll be using the Control key, so we don't need to activate the snap button. But we still need to set the snapping option correctly. So make sure it is set to vertex and the snap width option set to closest. Now, we can go to the edge mode by pressing 2, and then select this edge and also this edge, and then press G to move, then Z, then move the mouse cursor to this vertex location. Hold Ctrl, we can see how it snaps, then left-click to confirm. So now we have something like this. Next, we want to create a cylinder for the roof, so press Shift A. Remember, we are still in the edit mode, so the new cylinder mesh will be part of this object, okay? Now we need to rotate this cylinder 90 degrees using the Y-axis. So press R, then Y, and then type 90, then press Enter. Let's move this up a bit, press G, and then Z. Next, we want to cut this cylinder in half. We can do this in many different ways, but I want to use the knife tool for this. Press 3 to go to the right view. I think it is better to see this in vertex mode. Press K and move the cursor until we get this vertex highlighted. Click, and while moving the mouse like this, press C to make the cutting line constrained horizontally. Then press Z, so we are cutting through everything in front of us, including the back faces. Then click here, and then press spacebar. Now, we have something like this. Next, we want to split these areas using this line. We can do this using the edge split method. I don't think we have discussed this before, but it is very simple. First, make sure you are in the edge mode. Select the edges you want to split. We can hold Alt and click here. So we have an edge loop selected around the object. Then go to the edge menu and then choose edge split here. Now the cylinder mesh already split into two parts. To prove this, if you are in the face mode and then press L here, we can see the selection can only go halfway. This part is not selected. We can move the top part without affecting the lower part. Now we actually need the upper part, so select the lower part using the L shortcut again and then delete it. Okay, let's patch the bottom hole here. Press 2 to go to the edge mode, Alt and click on this edge. Then press F to fill it with a face. Next, select the whole roof part by pressing Ctrl L. Next, press 3. We want to scale the cylinder so it roughly follows the roof shape in the image reference. Move this down a bit. Let's focus on the width for now. Basically, we want to scale on the y-axis. So press S, then Y, until it reaches this point here. Next, let's focus on the height. Press Alt-Z to activate the X-ray mode. Then move this down a bit. I think the height is about right. Maybe just scale it down slightly in the Z-axis. Okay. Next, we want to move the roof in the Z-axis and snap it to this vertex here. So just hold Ctrl and move our mouse cursor to the vertex. Next, we want this part and this part merged into one piece, just like the toy train in the reference. To do this, we can press Ctrl R and create 4 cuts down here. Press Alt-Z so we can see this better. What we want to do now is to move this edge so it snaps to this vertex here. Besides using the G shortcut, you can also use the Move tool here, just to show you that this tool can also work with snapping. So move it like this, then hold Ctrl and move the mouse cursor to this vertex. Then select this one and just do the same thing. Then we need to do this for the other 2 edges on the right side. So select this one, move it and hold Ctrl so it snaps to this vertex. And the last one is this edge here. Now, if we activate the face mode, we can see we still have faces in these areas. We can select them. If you are confused, these faces actually belong to the cylinder mesh, okay? Let me undo this. So just press X and then choose faces. Now the interior faces are gone, but the vertices are still not connected. We can see this in the vertex mode. They are still separate vertices. To merge them, we can press A to select all, then press Alt-M and then choose by distance. Now we have merged vertices. Next, to reduce the end-gone effect in this area here, let's connect these 2 vertices and then press J. And these 2 vertices also, press J. Sometimes bevel modifier failed if you have large end-gone that adjacent with sharp corners, just to be safe. So the right part is finished. For the left part, we can leave this for the mirror modifier. Next, let's create the base frame part. Press Shift A and choose Cube. Move this down. We want to snap this cube to this vertex. The technique is basically the same, so I don't really need to explain everything again. Next, we want to scale this sideways. So press S and then X and make it about this size. Let's fix the height. Now imagine this line goes all the way to this back area. I think the height is already good. Let's focus on this line instead. If we draw a line from here to the back part, we should have a loop cut at this point. So press Ctrl R, left click, and then slide this up until right about here. Left click to confirm. Next, go to the face mode, select this face at the front, and then press E to extrude it. Move this face until right about this position. Next, we want to create the big wheel. Shift A and then choose cylinder. For the wheel, I think 32 vertices are too much. So let's revise the value to, I think 24 is just enough. Next, we want to rotate the mesh cylinder this way using the y-axis. So press R, Y, and then 90. Move this to the side. And then we want to move this back and snap to this vertex here. Move this down. And then select this face. And then move it to the left. Next, we want to take care of the size. To select all of the faces in this wheel, if we already have some of them selected, we can just press Ctrl L. Go to the right view. To see this better, let's press Shift Z to go to the wireframe mode. We can see that the wheel size is a bit bigger than this box up here. We need to scale this wheel, but we want to constrain the scaling to only Z and Y axes, or in other words, on the X plane. So press S, then Shift X, and just make it about this size. We can see that the wheel is slightly backward compared to the box. So let's move this slightly. Okay. So far, we have something like this. Just my personal taste, I think it would be better if we make this wheel thicker. Yeah, I think it looks better now. Next, we want to create the two small wheels. Press Ctrl L, then Shift D to duplicate. Press Z, and just move this up a bit for now. Go to the right view. Let's move this to the side first, so we can compare it with the reference image. Press S, and then Shift X. Okay, now we need to move this to the right again, until these vertices become the closest. Move this on the Z-axis and hold Ctrl so we can snap it to this vertex. Move this to the left until it matches the reference. Then Shift D to duplicate, then press Y and move the new one to the next wheel location. So now we have something like this. Okay guys, I'm afraid that the video will become too long. So let's wrap up the lesson for now, and we will continue the toy train modeling project in the next video.